All right, thank you all for joining us this evening. The time is 5:30 p.m. on Monday, May 8th, 2023. We're going to call to order the regularly scheduled Middleton Planning and Zoning Commission and Design Review Committee meeting. My name is Heidel Summers. I'm the Planning and Zoning Chairman. And can we stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you very much. Can we have our roll call, please?
Chairman Summers.
Present.
Vice Chair Christiansen.
Present.
Commissioner Cross.
Present.
Commissioner Trimble.
Present.
Commissioner Watkins.
Present.
And we have a quorum, so we will go ahead with our agenda. First action items, we've got our consent agenda, our items of routine administrative business. We need to consider approving our minutes from our previous meeting of April 10th, 2023. Does anybody have anything that they saw in the minutes that needs to be adjusted or clarified or fixed?
I didn't see anything that needed to be corrected.
Anybody else?
No. Nope.
Do we do a motion to approve and everything?
Yeah, you did.
Okay.
I'll extend a motion to approve the minutes of April 10th, 2023, the regular meeting.
Okay, so I've got a motion from Chris Jansen. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second from
Watkins.
Watkins. All those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Okay, so that's unanimous. All right, moving on to our action item number 2. This is a public meeting for us to consider approval of the design review application for caliber collision proposed on lots 5 and 6 of the Bozick subdivision, 913 and 957 Bozick Street. And Roberta, are we going to proceed with this tonight?
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair.
Okay.
Everything looks good.
Open my public meeting?
Yep.
Open our public meeting at 5:33 p.m.
And Commissioners, we'll just dive right in. First, let's look at the vicinity of where this caliber collision is proposed. It's in the Bozick subdivision. That's at the intersection of Highway 44 and Hartley Lane, just north of Forge Charter School. And you can see up there on the screen, Tractor Supply and Precision Tire are just north of where Caliber Collision is. They're going to take up 2 lots inside of the Bozick subdivision. Caliber Collision is a national company that performs auto collision repair work, including bodywork, painting, and sanding, and I think other things. That the applicant is here so you can ask more about what they actually do. The proposed building is 16,345 square feet, and it will be equipped with state-of-the-art equipment to prevent nuisance, emissions, or other environmental hazards. The project parcel is approximately 2.25 acres when you put the 2 lots together. Applicant is going to have to do an administrative lot consolidation application, and they just can do that with me. It doesn't have to go through a public hearing. And it can work in tandem with their building permit if you approve them tonight. The parcel is zoned N1 or light industrial. Auto repair is an allowed use in the N1 zone, so the project complies with zoning, and also all the dimensional standards have been complied with for the N1 zoning. So no zoning violations. And if you wanted to see the site conditions from an aerial, you can see how it'll sit right at the top right corner is the schoolyard of Forge International, and Hartley's on the left side. So the Bozick subdivision contains 4 other lots, and the developer recently told me that 2 of the 4 remaining lots will accommodate new restaurants. I'm not sure I'm at liberty to say who they are, And one lot will accommodate the Guho retail building that has already received design review approval. So if you look up there, this hard corner is a restaurant, then the Guho retail building will be in the middle, then the other restaurant will be here. This was Jim State Meatpacking. They recently sold to another company and they pulled their building permit and said they're not going to come to Middleton after all. And down here in the left corner of the screen is the Guho retail building. It will accommodate restaurants also, and it'll be right across the street from this Caliber Collision. So Middleton City Code 11582 requires the project material and colors of any building to be in harmony with the surrounding neighborhood. Each building must also contain 4 or more of the following design elements: a gabled roof, stucco, brick or rock, any kind of accenting, metal siding, timberwork, or public art feature. The surrounding neighborhood for this project is the Bozick subdivision. It is zoned light industrial, but the other buildings slated for the Bozick subdivision are more commercial and have a more refined appearance. Applicant has tried to make its industrial building conform to the more commercial atmosphere that is being built in the Bozick subdivision. The Caliber Collision building technically complies with the code. It contains 4 of the required materials on the street side of the building, and that's all that's required. The 4 materials are brick, stucco, cultured stone, metal siding, and I think there's a couple of different metal siding colors, and metal pop-out accents. And here's just a nice kind of rendering. This is what you will see when you turn off of Hartley into Bozick Street. You're just now entering into the subdivision. You'll see the front there and then the length along Bozick. So here's the other elevations. The south elevation on the top, that's what the kids will see from the schoolyard. It just backs up to grass. The west elevation is this middle, and that's actually facing Hartley, and they consider that the front. It's typically the side. And then the east elevation is, it's just backs up to an interior lot. So I don't know if you can see my cursor there. That's the east elevation. It'll just back up to this vacant lot. The Caliber Collision facility contains a storage yard for vehicles undergoing repair. Fencing is required to protect the stored items and to also obscure the view of the storage yard. Caliber Collision intends to build a wrought iron and brick ornamental fence on the street sides of the building, but they're going to use chain link fence with privacy slats on the other 2 sides of the building, and that complies with code. And the brick, you'll see up there, will match the brick that's in the building so it looks cohesive. So if you look at the site plan, where the red lines are drawn is where you'll see the ornamental, brick columns and the wrought iron. So when you're going down Bozick Street or when you're traveling on Hartley Lane, that's what you'll see. But here along the schoolyard and on this interior side in yellow, that will be chain link. And here you can see a little bit the fencing. It's not a whole lot. It's kind of at the rear and on the back side. So access is from Hartley to Bozick Street. City code requires 1 parking stall per 720 square feet of auto shop floor space. So in light of this, the Caliber Collision building requires 23 public parking stalls. They have provided 34, so they well exceeded the amount. And they even have more parking stalls, but they're behind the fence, and that's just used for their storage yard. It's not for public, so it can't be included in the count. But they're fine on parking. That's the bottom line. Sewer and water are already stuck to the project parcel because this is a subdivision, so everything's already there. Stormwater facilities will have to be dealt with, and the civil engineer will look at those at building permit. And they just can't intermingle them with stormwater facilities on Hartley. All external lighting must be shielded downward. And landscape, here's a nice kind of aerial view of what their landscaping will look like. When you're coming in Bozick, they have a really nice green strip or streetscape along the side of their building, which will help with that industrial flavor that's there. So applicant's design review application complies with the dimensions and standards in the Middleton Code for M1 zoning. If the design review committee is inclined to approve the application, staff recommends that the approval be subject to the conditions of approval set forth in the staff report. And those conditions are: 1, applicant must submit and obtain approval of an administrative lot consolidation application before the city will issue a building permit for the building. Applicant to comply with all Canyon County Water Company irrigation comments. Prior to city issuing a building permit, applicant must provide city with a copy of an executed and recorded license that will allow the applicant to construct permanent structures in the irrigation company's easement. They want to put some parking stalls and some fencing in their easement. And that's okay as long as you get a license. It happens quite frequently. Applicant to comply with all engineering and planning comments. Applicant to comply with all Middleton Fire Department comments. Applicant to comply with all comments and requirements of the building department. Applicant to comply with all Middleton City Public Work comments. Applicant to submit an industrial user survey with the building permit application. And that's where they tell the city what kind of chemicals they're using and any problems with grease or whatever, so that our sewer plant, we can make sure we protect our sewer plant. The storm facility design must be entirely contained on the project parcel. No intermingling with the storm drain design on Hartley. And all storm facilities must be landscaped and irrigated. No visibly damaged vehicles may be stored outside the private gated area. Applicant's activities may not create any environmental hazards nor cause a nuisance to the surrounding area. Fence to be ornamental wrought iron with brick columns and windscreen on the Bozick Street and Hartley Lane sides of the building. The other two sides can be chain link. All asphalt must meet the minimum thickness and standards of the City of Middleton, and city engineer will take care of that at building permit. All exterior lighting must be downlit. Landscape must be installed per the landscape plan dated 4/25/2023. And I stand for questions.
Roberta, I've got a couple questions for you. So, one of the things was they have to comply with all of the comments from the various agencies. I didn't see any in the staff report. That's probably, correct me if I'm wrong, but because we aren't really worried about that kind of stuff in this phase. We're simply making sure that their design meets Middleton City Code design standards.
Yeah.
And everything else has kind of already been approved, and they're already subject to that, and then that will all be determined upon
At building permit.
building permit and all of that stuff. Okay.
Right, that's where the nuts and bolts get taken care of.
Okay.
Right now, everything's conceptual. Even their site plan, the utilities are conceptual, the storm drain's conceptual. You're generally just looking at it and saying that it looks nice and seems to work.
Yeah, and it has the required elements. And one more question for you really quick before I let other people ask. How true to scale is this rendering? Because I really love all the green space, but it seems really excessive for an industrial building, and I would love to see it stay, but I'm just curious. Not that it matters, it's not going to impact
The
any
applicant is
decisions,
here.
but it really looks like a lot.
Well, my best guess, it is to scale. And what you're seeing as a lot of grass is actually storm drain facilities that are required by code.
Okay.
I'm not sure they'd want to put in that much grass if they didn't have to.
For a football field.
But those are
Yeah.
those,
Okay,
Yeah.
and they will be grassed and manicured and
and
taken
taken
of.
care of. Yeah.
But that's, the bioswale's in the back, right?
Yeah.
Storm
There's a
drain.
detention pond.
So you might have been talking about in the front, or considered the Hartley side front.
Well, both actually. So if you look at like the aerial view here,
Yeah.
like it just looks like a lot of really beautiful green space that I think would really, just looks great. It's kind of what we want to see.
It is
in
good,
our
and
city.
usually an industrial user
Wouldn't do that.
have
Yeah,
anything
they'd
like
have
that.
gravel.
Mhm.
They're just like really ugly stuff.
Yeah, so it's good. It's
So I did
good.
really like that, yeah. I don't have any other questions for staff. Anybody else have any questions for staff before we let the applicant come up?
Chair, I have some questions.
Okay, Commissioner Chris Jansen.
So, Roberta, which is the street side? Is it Hartley or Bozo?
This is Bozick here,
I know.
partly. They said this is the front.
It's both. See, I would consider the front along Bozick.
When you talk about street side, there's only singular reference, but it has two street sides.
Yeah, it does.
So, I just was wondering which is in the singular reference is street side.
Well, if I did singular reference, I didn't mean to. There's two street sides.
Yeah, it just talks about, you in your, and it's not a big deal.
Yeah.
I just, for my own point of reference, when you said street side, I'm assuming you meant Hartley, but there is a street side.
Hartley and Bozick both will have that nice ornamental fence.
Okay. And, see, the landscape design guidance that we, as a city, have. I should have looked at the references before I came here, and I'm not. So, do we have much in terms of guidance, in terms of what
No.
they put in for landscaping?
No, we're working on that. We do not, never have. Well, actually,
It
I
would be
think we
hard
might
because
have.
everything is different, but it just, you're relying on discussion in these meetings as to how, we don't want it to look nice, particularly in light of the fact it's by a school, and you want to separate the kids from the school.
Yeah.
But then on the other side, you have the Bozick building. The front of the Bozick building faces the left view of this building, correct?
The Guho building, you mean? Yeah,
Yeah, that's what I meant, sorry.
yeah.
But anyway, the front of that building, the backside of the Guho building faces the main 44.
It does, right.
And the front faces the backside, or
Bozick.
the left side elevation of this. So it would just seem that you would want to,
Most of the landscaping to be on Hartley or?
well, you just want to make sure that it's pleasing to the eye for those people who are sitting in the restaurant,
Yeah.
eating or doing whatever they do at the Guho
And
building.
you can kind of see that, Commissioner, right here where see that long strip along Bozick?
Yeah.
There's quite a bit of landscaping and trees and shrubs, and
Wow.
that's what the Guho building will be looking at.
Okay, well, so, yeah, but I've seen concept designs and what really happens, and there's quite often a difference, so. And again, I'm not making, I love the concept so far, from what I've seen, no issues, but,
Will be some,
hold on. Yeah, but, I just wanna make sure that we have something ornamental in there, for the people that are their neighbors. And I'm not sure, you might even have the same developer involved in doing both properties, I don't know.
No, no.
Okay.
Their landscape plan does look like this aerial, and that was the condition of approval. They have to install what you're looking at right
Oh,
there.
okay.
That's not just playing around, that's what they're gonna do.
yeah, the landscape architect do that, the landscape plans.
In a sentence, you wanna be a good neighbor.
Absolutely.
You've got a retail space as compared to an industrial space, and so,
And Caliber considers themselves to be a neighborhood service. That like over 500 people all over the country. So they are the largest collision repair company in the world, and they've got over 1,600 locations, and they work with all the major insurance companies. So they have to run the first-class operation. And they want it to be clean and neat and be in one of the better looking buildings around. So
Would you do us a favor and state your name and address for the
yeah,
record?
yeah, hold on just a minute, we need to finish with
Oh,
with
okay.
council, with staff. Talked about the landscape, and I'll have a question for the applicant when we have a minute, or we have time with them. As far as the school property is concerned, I haven't been down that way in a while, but the school building itself is a distance from the back, or from the right elevation of this.
Yes,
Is that grassy area where the students?
it's grass.
It's the kind of a playground or?
It's playground landscaped, yeah.
Okay. And so, did I miss, what kind of fencing is going to be along the right elevation of that?
Between
gonna
the
be-
schoolyard and here will be chain
Right.
link with some privacy slats, black.
Okay, and is the applicant gonna be building that fence, or is it the school that's,
Applicant.
okay. Okay, thank you.
Any other questions for staff?
I might have a question. I don't know if it's a dumb question, but I'm gonna ask it anyway. Is Perfection Tires is on the other side, they have a lot of cars that get pushed over and this and that. Does the city have, does the city specify how many cars can can be overnight, can stay overnight, can be in the parking lot. Let's say that they exceed the number of parking spaces. Does the city have
No,
okay, that's,
this would almost be considered something like a storage yard, you know, where they're keeping their working equipment and vehicles, and there's no limit on that.
And to expand on that, just going Commissioner Cross, I think the question is basically, we don't have a limit, but as far as like what's stored for work, as read in the report, basically anything that's damaged or anything has to be stored back in that fenced
Yes.
area.
That would be is a condition of approval.
Yeah. So basically, anything that's not worked on is gonna be, anything that's being worked on or not is gonna be back behind that eyesight. Nothing's gonna be stored out overnight in the frontage.
That's correct.
Correct.
Perfect.
All the damaged vehicles go back there, and the vehicles that customers make are to be repaired. Customers are waiting to come pick them up, so they have to secure them, that's why they have to have out those vehicles. Even if the vehicle comes in on a record, a flatbed, they'll bring it back there behind the fence and drop it so that they can look, service runners can look at it. Total vehicles are removed within 24 hours, you know, to a salvage yard. It's not a salvage yard. The vehicles coming there are gonna be repaired, insurance companies paying to get them repaired, so. And they feel like that the amount of spaces they have behind the fence is plenty to operate this facility. They'll probably generate about $400,000 to $500,000 a month in revenue out of this.
Any other questions for staff?
Briefly, on the drawing here, the lot behind here, is this also school property towards the front, towards Hartley?
Yes.
Is there any plans for any kind of fence to divide the two, or does anybody care about that?
That's what I asked.
Yeah.
Oh, well.
So there's a fence around the
for
storage
their-
area, yeah,
like
we get
for everything
that.
else, no. uh-uh.
Since all work is done inside the building, that's really just a drive lane back there, and that's gonna be employee parking on that backside.
Sure,
And then
Oh.
customer parking out front, and then other vehicle storage in the back.
right,
I guess
okay, but to divide the two properties, does anybody even care?
well,
I would think the
that was-
school with my care would maybe do it, but nobody required them back then to do it.
Okay.
And at this point, we're not requiring anything. I don't think we can. Well, except for this. They are coming in to expand to year 12 or senior year. At that point is where we probably say, okay, put your fence in. Because nobody made them do it earlier.
Okay.
Okay, well, maybe
that was his kind
I was at the area
From the employee
not
parking.
fenced around the damaged cars.
Yeah,
This area in the back here is what I was
That
referring
would,
to.
oh, I'm sorry, that part would be open. But the fence
Yeah,
part
so-
would be chain link.
That would be-
So the playground and your parking area would be adjoined without any kind of barrier.
That is true.
You know, I actually took some time to look around at other cities and even here in Middleton. Schools are integrated into a lot of open neighborhoods. They're not always fenced. There seems to be kind of a free flow. Because it kind of bothered me too at first. I was like, But when I looked around, it was common.
Yeah.
I just would think, I don't know the age of the kids at the school that are gonna be on the playground. But if you have younger kids, to me, it's a matter of
security.
safety, and if you have.
But that's a
kids
school
That's
problem.
that's a school issue, yeah.
like- True, but it is, if a child gets injured on your property, then it becomes your problem.
I'll tell you what, I wouldn't park back there when they're playing baseball.
Yeah.
Seriously.
Yeah.
I park somewhere else.
Okay, any other questions for staff, or can we let the applicant start? Okay, I know we've heard from you already, but name and address for the record,
Yes.
and then give us your presentation.
Okay. My name is Brett Flory. I'm Cross Architects and 1255 West 15th Street, Suite 125, Plano, Texas. And I've been working with Caliber for 11 years, doing most of the work all over the country. This is, the prototype that they build a lot of, and they're happy to be here. This Caliber is the world's largest collision repair company. They have over 1,600 locations, over 25,000 employees. They work with all the major insurance companies. All their equipment's top of the line. The paint booth that will be installed is has two-stage filtration, and the air coming out of it is cleaner than the air you breathe just walking down the sidewalk. All the work is done inside the building, the shops are air conditioned, so there's only two or three overhead doors on this building. So there's not like cars are gonna be coming in and out all over the place, it's very controlled. And all the overhead doors are facing away from the school. So really during the day, most of the activity is gonna be, out front with the customers and cars pulling in and out of those two overhead doors. And Caliber is a low trip generator, like if you look at the traffic manual, one of the lowest trip generators is a collision repair facility. So they're gonna generate less trips than the school, a retail, or a restaurant. So really, they're a low impact when it comes to traffic. They're an asset to the neighborhood, and most people, are happy to have them, and they're happy to be here. So I'm happy to answer any questions you might have.
Thank you, sir. So we are just doing design review, right? But I love all of your detail. It's fantastic. Welcome to Idaho. And I was just in San Antonio last week.
Okay.
I used to live in Dallas, so
Okay.
I love Texas. I have a Texan at home. She's 10. She's a proud Texan. And so, just for my curiosity, has nothing to do with the design review. How many employees will be employed here? And I assume that most of them will be from the local community.
Yeah, they're gonna probably promote a manager from somewhere in this area. And we did the one in Napa, that's the most recent one that's open in this area. But they will have probably 20 to 25 employees at this location. The painters make 6 figures, so they pay well. They try to buy all their parts locally from the dealerships when they can, so generates local tax revenue. So they do a lot of things, like they have a program where they give back to, they've retrained veterans and try to give them a new career when they get out of the military. They have a lot of different programs, but they're a big company that tries to treat their neighbors and people that work for them very well.
Very nice. Any questions for the applicant related to our design review here?
I have a question, just in regards to, like I said, just like Commissioner Summers, I agree. I think you've done a great job with the design, the green space, everything. I think it's a good fit for the area, even though it is more industrial. I think it's a good fit. The one question I have with your mitigation, obviously for environmental, I know a little bit about Caliber. I know you guys do use top end stuff as far as that, and I know you are limited on that. Just with the school being in such close proximity, what are you guys what's your sound mitigation like?
So since they do all the work inside the building, we've done sound studies before, and there's no additional, it doesn't add any sound to like just the normal kind of ambient sound of cars driving up and down the road. And it's close to this main highway, so there's not gonna be, unless they don't work, they close, the latest someone will be there working, it's like 5:30 or 6. And they don't work on the weekends. If they do it Saturday morning, every once in a while after a hailstorm or something. So
No, it's just, I mean, if it's in that range, that's completely fair.
Yeah.
I just, sometimes you get body shops going, they run with their doors open, and I love perfection. I'm a customer there, but it can be, it can get a little noisy down there some days.
Yeah.
You get air guns going, you get everything else going on.
this will
It's
be a little bit
different.
more organized.
Yeah, there you go. Thank you.
Any other questions?
I do, just a quick one. I had a stint working with Republic Services, who are our refuse collectors here.
Okay.
And the enclosure in the back, have you communicated with Republic Services to have them come out and take a look at that? I can assure you that they probably would want to make, they would want to make a suggestion, because if they're having these trucks back through a gate and back into that, which would have to be done if you have cars in it, they're probably going to recommend that would not be the best thing for them. Angular in or angular is the best, but you might consider giving them a call and having them come out and just take a look at your design, or even go into their office and have a look at it. They'll want to take a look, but it'll save pain down the road, I promise you.
We will do that.
But otherwise, I think it looks great. I guess I'm envisioning, I just hope the kids, kids are kids, right? The last thing anybody wants to do is to,
Oh, I agree, that's a bad thought, but, their own parking lot is unprotected from
That's
fence or
true.
anything like that.
can't
so
argue that.
It's kind of the same situation, but, I'll make them aware of it, that they need to.
Yeah, that's kind of where I was going, is you might even just communicate with them, see what they think. I mean, it's not, it's anything that I can require of you. But it is, I think that, again, falls into the good neighbor category. I appreciate that. That's all I have, Chairman.
Robert, I have one more question, actually. What's the sidewalk requirements here? None?
A local sidewalk, and I can see it is, it's already in, the subdivider put it in. And then along Hartley, the subdivider also put that in already.
So it looks like
Hartley
the
is
rendering
detailed.
is maybe kind of just over the sidewalk there a little bit erroneously.
What did you say?
Like the rendering maybe is just like
Yeah, that-
pasted on top of the
It
sidewalk.
is, yeah.
Okay,
It's
So there is a
about
sidewalk
5 feet wide.
Yeah.
okay,
It is
perfect.
out there, I just broke out.
Okay, perfect. It just looked like it was just gutter,
Yeah,
just from the rendering, but that's cool.
it's already there. That's
Okay.
how they got final plan.
Okay. Any other questions for applicant?
No, I think it looks great, personally.
Thank you.
Okay, all right, thank you so much. So now we will open public comments?
No.
Oh,
This
there
is
are
a-
the public
yeah,
comments.
this is a
Design
public
review.
meeting.
Okay, perfect. So close our public meeting? Is that right?
Yep.
Close our sorry, I'm new at this. Close our public meeting at 6:01. And, commission, any discussion?
Looks good.
Okay. Anybody want to give a motion?
I will give a motion to approve the caliber collision design,
Subject to.
subject to the
Conditions
city's
of
recommendations and list of requirements.
Okay,
in the staff
so,
report.
so we've got a,
Approve the design review application for
okay, so
Caliber.
we've got a motion to approve the design review application for Caliber Collision, subject to the,
Conditions of
conditions of
approval.
approval
in the staff
and
report.
in the staff report. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, Croft is our second, and we'll take a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So that one passes unanimously.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So did you fly all the
Thank
way
you,
to
sir.
Texas for that 15
Well,
minutes?
actually, flew to Salt Lake, and that's where I'm driving back to, so.
Oh,
I got another one DC for down there.
I hope they're as easy as we are.
Travel safely.
all right.
Okay, moving on to our next action item. Action item number 3, we have a public hearing that is continued from April 10th, 2023. This is an application by Firaha A. Bonain for a special use permit to operate a licensed daycare center from her home located at 105 East Rose Lake Drive, Middleton, Idaho, in the Middleton Lake subdivision. And applicants are here, so we're going to proceed.
Yes,
Okay, we'll open this at 6:03.
thank you, Madam Chairman. I'll open up and tee
You
this
guys can
up.
wait for just a second.
I'll tee
I'll
them
call you.
first. And then they can come up and inform you what's been going on. But where we left it at the last hearing was that they had homework to do. They needed to get approval from the fire department for up to 13 children in the home. They also needed to, prove that they had licensing from the state. And then third, they needed to get written permission to use the HOA common area in their subdivision. I did get a notice from the fire department that they don't have approval for up to 13 kids. The most they can have because of their square footage would be 12, but they still don't have approval because they had some violations with like smoke detectors and some safety issues, emergency plans and that kind of thing. So they do not have approval from the fire department today.
Yet.
And I haven't seen any kind of written permission from the HOA. And thirdly, I don't think they will be able to prove that they have a state license because it's the chicken before the egg. I don't think they can get their state license till they get your approval. So when you approve, say you do approve them, it would be subject to them getting ultimate licensing from the state. That's how we would handle that. But as of tonight, you would be hard pressed to approve them.
Chair, may I ask a clarifying question?
Sure.
So as I read through the notes in prep for tonight, I read that they were unable to make an appointment with the fire, or the individual, not the fire marshal, but the individual named.
I think that was before. Those were our notes
Is
from
that the
before.
original notes?
Yeah, the original, they
Okay.
hadn't done it in time. You gave them 30
But-
days.
Yeah, but since that time, I just want to clarify, since that time, they have met and they have gotten together on site to review the site. Is that what I'm hearing?
Right, but still failed.
Oh, yeah. No,
So our staff report was not updated, right? This is the original staff.
Yeah,
report.
I just put the original
Yeah,
back in there. I'm
That's
sorry.
right.
I
That's,
should've-
that's how I read it. I read it with, that it was the
Yeah.
original, that we would get our updates from you tonight.
Because this is just a continuance of the same hearing.
I thought so too, but I
Okay.
wanted to clarify and make sure.
Yeah.
Okay. Any questions for staff? Yes. Trumbull.
The chicken or the egg thing, with approval, do you know about how long it would take to get a license?
I don't know, but.
90 days, 180 days?
I don't know, but basically what it would say is that, yes, you approve their conditional or special use permit, but it doesn't come to life and it's not triggered until they actually get their state license. It'll stay in abeyance.
Okay.
That's the only way to handle it, I think.
Okay. Any other questions for staff?
Just another clarification for me. So the fire marshal did not approve it as requested, but it could be approved if they went from 13 to 12. And they got the items fixed that they talked about, such as the smoke detector and that kind of thing.
A few items.
So it's conditional upon meeting the requirements that the fire marshal, well, I can't remember the guy's name. But, so it's not something that is it is a never, let me try this again. It could be approved if they meet the conditions that they talked about in their meeting that they had. Is that,
Except for one thing, he did write it, he wrote it on April 19th and he gave them 14 days
to
to
comply?
do everything and they did not.
Okay.
So that expired on like May 3rd. So at this point,
So
I
it
don't
just-
think he's,
It would just take another inspection to reinvigorate that?
maybe so, but at this point, he's not going to give them any kind of approval.
Yeah, okay.
See, I don't think I would feel comfortable unless I knew what the other part of the list was. I don't know if I buy myself on that, but
Yeah.
I'd like to know what was on the list.
Is that important?
To me, it is.
Well, I mean, it's the approval or
Well-
not of the fire marshal, not us understanding what's on the list.
Do you mean like how egregious the
Yes.
the
I
errors
wanna-
and
yeah.
stuff are?
Okay.
Yeah.
It's a safety matter, right?
Well, to me, yeah. I might be erring a little bit on the side of caution here, but
I can pull it up
That's just
really quickly.
personal.
We can just scroll through
personal
it.
opinion.
Because they had failed, I didn't put it into the record because it was just, everything's undone. But we can have a look at it real quick. Yeah, just switch it to me. Planning and zoning, special use permits. Oops. I'm still plugged in. Let me hit my duplicate. Oops. There we go. So when you scroll through, his review date was April 19th. He says under occupancy load, it would be up to 12 because they're only designating 432 feet. Let me see here.
432 feet is all that's being
It might be
designated.
designated for daycare use per the owner operator's 432 square feet, and that's 12 kids. Yeah. So the owner has been given 14 days to correct, can you see my
Yep.
scrolling there? 14 days to correct all violations listed on the report. and this was written in April 19th. So windows and the ability to get out in the fire, fire extinguishers might have been a problem. Missing smoke detectors were missing. Emergency plan, I'm not sure if that's adequate or not. And the violations were fail, the windows, they failed on their evacuation plan. He didn't think it was good enough. So carbon monoxide was missing. So not here, general notes, not cleared for licensing for 12 occupants. That's where we're at today. So if you were to looking for next moves, I would not recommend continuing this any longer because we're now three months out from their original notice. It's getting too tenuous. And at this point, I think you've been generous in giving them a chance to try to prove up their case. And they might need to take the time to get their ducks in a row and get everything done before they apply this next time. And they just have to start from scratch. They know what they need to do, so
Okay.
it's up to you though.
All right, any other questions for staff, or can we bring the applicants up? Okay, applicants, go ahead and come on up. State your name and address for the record, please.
Name is Faraha.
All the way up to the microphone for me.
Sorry. Name Faraha Bonane, address 105 East Rose Lake Drive, for Faraha's childcare.
Okay.
So with the fire marshal thing, she did fix everything, but she tried to get in contact with the fire marshal, but she couldn't, and he couldn't come to check it in time, so she just decided to come today anyway. Yeah, that's what she wanted to say, that she did try to contact the fire marshal, but he didn't come in time before today, and that, you know, and she was hoping to stop her daycare process, because right now she's going through some medical issues, and it's taking a long time. So she's just planning to stop the daycare, and then she's just gonna restart everything new, so that everything can be approved at once. But for now, she wants to pause everything.
Okay. I think that kind of is a good move for you guys, because it looks like there's a big long list
Yeah.
of things to get, and that would be probably less stressful.
Yes.
For sure, especially with medical issues. So, okay, then, so she's withdrawing her application,
Well, what-
essentially.
If she withdraws it, then they'll have to pay the $550 again.
Okay.
So I wonder if we couldn't just table it without setting a date certain, so it'll just sit, pause, and then we'll have to
renotice everything.
We'll have to renotice, which is okay, you know. They'll just have to give me new labels. And then they won't have to pay again. And they can take as much time as they need to get it together.
And that's acceptable with code,
That,
Idaho
yeah.
statutes,
Mhm.
or within our parameters to do this?
Yeah, and as long as we're renoticing again, we're protecting their neighbors.
Okay.
So, can I ask a question?
Yes.
Two of them, actually. First is, so she says that she tried to get a hold of the fire, I'll call it fire marshal. Does she have evidence that, did she leave a message with anyone, or,
So her husband is the one that has the evidence of contacting the fire marshal. She doesn't have the evidence with her right now, but her husband has it.
Was it by the date that he gave, May 3rd, which was last Wednesday? Or was it today?
It's okay. Just, yeah, what I'm trying to do is to see if, anyway, it's mute. This, just a curiosity question, if she has evidence that they were contacted before the deadline and could not, that might be helpful to you. The second thing is there was, we talked about an HOA, a statement from the HOA, and you haven't gotten that. Have you talked to the HOA about our request for documentation from them on insurance and that kind of thing?
So they contacted the HOH and they told them that the HOH was gonna contact you guys, for you guys to call them.
No,
That
no, we
wasn't-
don't do that. You need to get a written, you do the work and you get a written permission. We don't call and contact
Yeah,
and find out.
If the HOA told you that, they've misinformed you. But the instructions from the last meeting was that we needed a statement from the HOA that they were in concurrence or they were able to abide by what it is you're trying to do.
So, so she says she can go to the HOH to get the written paper. Would she be here tomorrow?
No, when you come back and you're ready to go before.
Yeah, so I think at this point, what we're gonna do is we're gonna pause it for you. We're gonna table it. We're not giving you a date at which you have to have this done by, because you're gonna drive that date. Because you're gonna get the fire inspection again. You're gonna get everything done that the fire marshal listed off that needs to be done. You're gonna contact the HOA and you're gonna get a letter approving you to use the community park for your playground, and also that you have sufficient insurance to cover any kind of injuries that might happen on their property. And then you're gonna contact Roberta when you have all of those things done. You have them in your hand, all of that. Then you're gonna contact Roberta and then we're gonna get a date. And then we have to put a big sign out in front of the house again. And we have to allow all of your neighbors an opportunity to make comments and write letters and say yes or no, we approve this. So if you get those things, the fire marshal letter or inspection, okay, so fire marshal inspection again, and everything corrected, passing, letter from the HOA. Am I missing anything, Roberta?
No, that's right.
Same.
They could just work with me. When they get their stuff ready, then I get the labels and I'll schedule as close as I can. I will probably be gone in July, I couldn't help it, so we'll have a hearing in June, but we may not have a hearing in July, so based on their timing, we may not see them till August.
Okay, so those things, right? And the letter from the HOA needs to indicate that they are aware and approve your use of the park.
Yes.
Okay? And that you've provided sufficient proof of insurance for covering any injuries that might happen on their property. Okay? So once you get those two things, the inspection is complete and approved by the fire marshal, you've got a letter from the HOA with the items that are approved there. Then you get with Roberta and she'll put you on the calendar again, and a big sign will go out in front of your house and we'll get you guys taken care of at that point. And then once you get through this, do they go to city council or no?
No, you're the final.
Okay, so then we get to make the final decision on whether or not you get your permit. Then you get to go to the state and get licensed, okay? So there's a lot of steps still
Yes.
in order to be able to start, operating a facility. So, but that's where we're at, okay? All right, so everybody cool with that? Do we need to take a vote?
Could I ask Yeah, you'll need to do that to continue to a date not certain.
Okay,
But I wouldn't mind asking the applicant, if you think you'll get this done in the next few weeks, do you want me to leave the sign in your front yard or take it down if it's gonna take you if it's gonna take you a few months, I'll take the sign down. But if you're gonna maybe get it together within the next month, I'll leave it up.
It'll take a few minutes.
okay,
So probably take the sign down?
Yeah.
I'll take, okay.
okay.
And I'll just, again, just, this isn't a question, this is just some advice, as some of the fellow commissioners have given you. As you communicate with these people, the fire department, the HOA, my recommendation is if you're making phone calls, follow up with a text or an email. Get it in writing. It's a cover your tail. Cover your tail type of deal, because that way it shows that you're doing the work, and if that way if somebody's not keeping up their end for you, we can see that, and we take that in consideration, you know, because it's,
Yeah, okay. Thank you. Do you have anything else you want to add? Or, no?
Thank you.
Okay, so you can go ahead and sit down now. Commissioners, are we all in agreement that we'll move it forward with the, okay, so can I have a motion to
Table it.
table this for a date uncertain?
I'll extend a motion to table the application by Furaha A. Benin, the special use permit, to a time
Not certain.
Not certain.
not certain.
Do I have a second?
second.
So I have a motion by Chris Jansen and a second by Watkins. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Okay, so we are unanimous. We approved that to be a table for a date not certain. And I assume we didn't have any public comments, right? Nope.
Nope.
Okay. Close our public hearing at 6:22 p.m. Thank you. You're welcome to go. Thank you for showing up. Good luck with everything.
Thank you.
Okay, so now we are going to open up our public comment section. 6:22 p.m. Do we have any public comments? No? Sir,
What about from our vast studio audience?
you just here watching?
Yeah,
Are you a student?
no.
No? You just are interested in public
No.
service?
I forgot her.
How to Did we exceed your
Well, welcome.
expectations? Was it interesting?
Expecting at least one person.
You usually go to city council if you want that kind of
There
action.
you go.
Yeah, this one's a little on the boring side. Okay, well then we will close our public comment section at 6:23 p.m. And commission, anybody have any comments? Anything you
I
need to?
have a couple of questions. We don't want to go without having
Right,
a little
we-
discussion.
We have to.
First,
do
I
something
really
here.
think you need to slap that gavel down a little harder so we can.
No.
it's
I
fine. I can hear it just
don't know
fine.
why
And I'm over here.
Ray
Mayor
said-
scares me when he does
We've
it.
gotta have authority in our,
Oh, I feel like that's authoritative.
It is.
Yeah,
anyway,
gently
so
authoritative.
did we ever get any of that information from the Canyon County Commission that we asked for?
We did
Okay,
not,
okay.
because I never
Planning
emailed
zone.
him.
What's that?
We didn't because I never emailed him.
Okay.
It's all my fault. But I thought about it today. I'm like, shoot, I didn't do that, but I will do it when I get home.
Or if you need help, let me know.
Yeah, no, I'll do it when I get home,
Okay.
because he is expecting me to email him because I told him I would.
You're the
So,
boss.
yeah.
This
So,
is
yeah,
for
I will get it.
dates so we can go.
Was
Sit them
No,
on there.
it's like their script that they use to keep things
yeah.
really like formal and official and the same every single time.
True.
You know, which is kind of where the way we want to move. You know, to keep things just really like the expectations are set. Everybody knows when they walk in here what the meeting is going to look like. So, and I did talk to the mayor about it. The mayor's really excited about us moving forward, really kind of formalizing things. So I will do that. That's on my to-do list. Anybody
Wow.
else?
Sounds like we all might need that collision place.
I know.
Washing my car.
Yeah.
I got caught one time up there in the foothills above Boise, and it was hail like this size, and it dented all of my car.
Yeah,
It was horrible.
yeah, our car got totaled a week after moving to Texas.
Oh.
Yeah, with like golf ball size.
Yep.
hail. So, okay, any other comments, discussion, commission? Has anybody else attended another planning and zoning meeting yet?
No.
Just for
I
fun?
think it's kind of interesting.
It really was.
I went to Caldwell's thinking I was going to Canyon County, and they were a whole lot different from Canyon County. So I think it's just good experience to kind of see what everybody else does in terms of their motions and their discussions and,
Yeah, what kind of
Oh,
questions
yeah.
they have, and,
yeah.
you know.
So anyway, I'm not the, it's just, I think it's just kind of interesting to see,
Mhm.
you know, not that we necessarily want to model everybody, but I think it's good to.
Doesn't hurt to get ideas.
Do they, what's their schedule? Or do we have schedules for
Caldwell, you just have to
Star
look it up
or
on
Eagle or surrounding counties?
Well, Star doesn't have a planning and zoning per se. It's just a person that sits in city council. And so everything that they do, planning and zoning wise, is part of city council. So they kind of eliminate the step of doing this separately and then going to. And at first I thought Chad Nichols is the guy in Star. And he's always there and he presents at the time to the city council. And anybody that has public comment or whatever does so during that meeting. So I haven't seen it. I asked the mayor, I said, it seems to me that's
At least as long as
sufficient,
city
but
council
does
meeting.
that really serve the purpose? But that's the way they do it, so they don't, if you go to city council, you also go to planning and zoning. And so, I have not been to Nampa planning and zoning, but I thought it was interesting.
I mean, I can see the appeal of trying to shorten the process, but at the same time, it kind of takes away that second set of eyes on things. as
Yeah,
well.
the checks and balances kind of a thing, yeah.
All in one. But, you know, when I was on the library board, I visited all the area libraries. And it taught me a lot of things that we incorporated into what we do here. But it also gets your name out there. So I think it's important for all of us to get who we are out there. So everybody, not necessarily create, what's the right word? It's not a relationship necessarily, but it is, you know, people get to know you, can bounce ideas, you know, everybody's interested in helping each other do the right thing for our community, so.
Yeah, and getting our communities working together, because our communities are butting up against
Yeah.
each other, and if we communicate a little bit better, then we'll have a more cohesive valley,
Exactly.
and nobody's gonna be overstepping their boundaries, like
Star?
some people are doing. I wasn't gonna draw name drop.
Oh, okay.
I
In the
just,
library
in
example,
general.
I mean, we were able to create alliances that brought us benefits that would have cost otherwise. You know, made alliances now that have moved on from Payette, for example, not Payette,
Emmett.
no.
Fruitland.
Yeah, I think it was Payette.
Fruitland.
But
Ontario.
it starts with.
Wait a minute.
Parma, no, it wasn't Parma, that's Payette's probably it. But anyway, the point is, the then director is now part of the Library Commission of Idaho. And so, a lot of good input. So the point is that the more we can be out there, I think the better off we are in terms of.
Well, maybe we should all have a good cocktail party. Two people from each city at a time.
Now that you got your petition signed, but, yeah. So anyway, that's it.
Yeah,
from
anybody
me.
else? Okay, we'll close our meeting then,
All right.
6:29 PM,
Thanks,
we are
everyone.
adjourned.
Thank you.